When it comes to saving for retirement, Americans are feeling pretty pessimistic. An overwhelming 79% of Americans say that our nation is facing a retirement savings crisis, according to a survey conducted by the National Institute of Retirement Security. So, how can we defy this trend? And what are the strategies that you need to avoid the pitfalls? Here to weigh in, we've got Sue Crotty, who is the Segal Marco Advisors Chief Investment Officer. Great to have you here. So a lot of people are just trying to figure out why. Why are we in this retirement savings crisis right now? Are there some reasons that you've been able to summarize and point this back to?
Yeah, a couple, Brad. As everybody knows, we probably can't retire on Social Security alone. So we need some sort of way to save for retirement. The two most popular ways, obviously, being a defined benefit plan, or the more popular in terms of the numbers and the assets, the defined contribution world. Just a couple of stats. The lowest paid 25% of workers have access to a DB plan, about 8% of people, and to a DC plan, about 45%. Of which less than half of those will actually participate in the plan. And even if you go up to the highest 25% of people, its DB access is about 40 and much higher on the DC side, 70+%. But again, here only 63% of them will participate. So, the latest numbers I've seen from Mabry was, an average 40-year-old who has a DB or DC plan has about $38,000 saved for retirement. And the average across the entire population, which, 1.2 plus million people, is about $70,000. So that's not going to be enough for anyone in retirement to try to maintain their standards of living.
Certainly.
So what do we do about it is the real question.
Right. And that's part of the next question here. How do we get to a point where we begin to make meaningful improvements and claw our way out of the retirement savings crisis?
Some of it is in plan design, automatic enrollment, automatic escalation, those sorts of things. If you have access to a plan, certainly know that is the way to build wealth. There are a lot of new proposals coming out in terms of creating access to retirement plans. Small businesses right now, which, employ, close to 50% of workers, 70+% of those don't have retirement plans. So that's an area where we really need to try to figure out solutions. The Secure Act did come up with some ways to help access and lower costs of offering some sort of retirement plan, but it's in its infancy and it really needs to be pushed in order to gain broader access across a larger population of our country.
For a lot of retirees or planned retirees, all of us plan to retire. So all of this considered, one of the major things that it was a part of the thought process for decades at this point was, hey, you're looking to retire, you go to a warm weather state, maybe you go to Florida or something like that, and you just kind of chill out down there on your retirement, on your Social Security. It seems like the equation is changing drastically, and are there other states that are also trying to make sure that they are making it more livable for retirees? Yeah,
as I mentioned, there's lots of different new plans that are being thrown about and discussed, and some being implemented. A lot of statewide plans are coming into effect at this point in order to try to enhance people to put some money away. And those vary state by state. And, I couldn't even start to go through the wide variety and amounts. And but it's, it's easily accessible if you just Google your state retirement government plan. That is one way. Roth IRAs are another way. And, part of the problem is that it's just not in the nature of many people these days to put that extra dollar away. It's why I started with saying retirement plans are the best way to try to build wealth. It compounds tax-free. It comes out when you're theoretically at a much lower income rate in retirement. So when you have to take money out, a defined benefit plan, which for a long time in this country was the single biggest and easiest way to put money away, is now just a very small fraction as DC has taken over it. For DC plans, making sure that you maximize a company match is a very important thing to think about.
Yeah.
I talk to my kids about this all the time. It's giving money away if you don't actually put in enough to get that company match.
Yeah.
So those are all ways you should be thinking about it as you look at, and it's never too early.
Absolutely.
Even if you put the minimum away, if it compounds over the next, you're 20-year-old, over the next 45 years, you're going to have a decent amount of money, and you won't miss that $2 out of your paycheck.